Here are the top 6 reasons why everyone on Earth should speak out against the proposed amendments to the International Health Regulations. Reason number 1. The 194 delegates to the World Health Assembly changed international law last May 27th, 2022, and to this day, practically no one in the government and no one in the media or even the alternative media have reported on that fact. International law was changed on May 27th, 2022 by 194 unelected, unaccountable, unknown delegates to the World Health Assembly, and you know nothing about it. You had nothing to say about it, and no one is talking about it. And if that could happen last year, it could happen this year, and it could happen next year. There is no presidential or prime minister signature needed. There is no advice and consent from the Senate or any parliamentary body needed. 194 unelected, unaccountable, unknown delegates decided amongst themselves to change international law. From that point, there was an 18-month period of time by which any nation could invoke Article 61 of the International Health Regulations and reject those amendments. Every nation on Earth still has until late November of 2023 to reject the amendments that were adopted last year, but nobody's even talking about it. You have had nothing to say about those changes. You don't even know that they happened. And that is what they could do again with the proposed amendments to the International Health Regulations. Reason number 2 to oppose the 307 amendments that are being considered by the Working Group for Amendments to the International Health Regulations. There has been absolutely no public comment permitted either on an international World Health Organization level or on a national level in any of the 194 member nations. You are not considered to be one of the 400 relevant stakeholders who do get a seat at the table. Organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation do get to have input into this process, but you do not. So much for democracy and so much for the will of the people. We the people need to stand up and be heard. We the people need to stand up, speak up, and demand that our will be heard. To date, there has been no public comment permitted, and the schedule that they have concocted going into the future offers no hope of public comment. From February 20th to the 24th, the Working Group for Amendments to the International Health Regulations met in 10 separate sessions. 6 of those sessions were done in secret. They are currently having drafting sessions that are going on in secret. They have a meeting scheduled for April 17th to the 20th. We do not know if it will be public or in secret. These secret negotiations must be stopped immediately. The third reason to oppose the amendments to the International Health Regulations is because India proposed a change to Article 3, which are the core principles of the International Health Regulations, which currently states that the regulations shall be implemented with full respect for the dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons. But India has proposed crossing out the words with full respect for the dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms of persons. That should be all you need to know to stand up against these proposed changes. Reason number 4 to oppose the amendments to the International Health Regulations is because Bangladesh proposed changing the definition of the terms standing and temporary recommendations by crossing out the phrase non-binding. And Malaysia proposed changing Article 42 so that it would read that the recommendations made under Article 15 and 16 shall be initiated and completed without delay by all state parties. Even the International Health Regulations Review Committee, in their final report on page 26, stated very clearly that the proposed amendments to these definitions could be understood as aiming to change the nature of these recommendations from non-binding to binding. and giving a binding effect to WHO recommendations and requests as proposed in other articles would require a fundamental reconsideration of the nature of recommendations and the process for their adoption and implementation. Even though Tedros Ghebreyesus, the Director General of the World Health Organization, has stated very clearly that the treaty will not attack the sovereignty of nations, these changes clearly do exactly that. Reason number 5 to oppose the amendments to the international health regulations is that the proposed amendments from a number of nations, including the nations of the European Union, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, India, Indonesia, and the Russian Federation, would seek to implement an international interoperable database system that would enable nations to implement travel restrictions through requirements for vaccine certificates, prophylaxis certificates, testing certificates, and recovery certificates, none of which are clearly defined, along with passenger locator forms and a traveler's health declaration that would be tied to a personalized QR code that would be either digital or in paper form that could potentially be used to track and trace everyone on the planet. This is absolutely unacceptable. Reason number 6 to oppose the amendments to the international health regulations is because the African nations have proposed a new Article 44A that sets up a new funding mechanism that has no details as to the amount of money that would be involved and to the means by which it would be distributed. Discussions have proposed that this be up to $30 billion per year, while the entire WHO budget is currently less than $4 billion per year. This is a boondoggle of epic proportions that would lead to crony capitalism and corruption on a worldwide scale that is unheard of. The WHO has clearly stated that they are attempting to implement legally binding international agreements. They are seeking power, control, and money over our lives. These are just 6 of the many reasons to reject the 307 proposed amendments to the international health regulations. The World Health Assembly changed international health regulations last year. They could do it again this year or next year. These negotiations must be stopped, and they must be stopped immediately. Please visit stopthewho.com or call me directly at 310-619-3055.